What's going on, YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to talk about Batman and Robin, issue number 22, when seeking the Etrigan. There you go, there's on the cover. Why can't I read that right now? I gotta zoom in. When seeking the demonic, trust not the word of man. Place your faith in me, the demon Etrigan. So this one is written by Philip Kennedy Johnson. Javi Fernandez was on the art and a few other artists involved. We get the big reveal at the end of the last issue that Atticus Bly was still alive, but not quite really. Like he's Memento, as we come to find out in this thing, but not exactly quite. See, we do learn more about the origins of Memento, and this does tie back to an interview I remember Philip Kennedy Johnson saying a while back that this would take influence from Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham, which, you know, had to deal with, like, which is a famous Elseworlds tale. It actually was a pretty solid animated DC film, by the way. Like, I actually checked that one out, but it was kind of Elseworlds, and it was kind of like some, like, Lovecraftian eldritch horror type influence, and that's basically what we're kind of getting. Like, Memento is some sort of, like, eldritch force that kind of takes over people's bodies and kind of wears them like it wears people's bodies, basically. It possesses them and kind of takes over, and then it's been kind of committing these acts for many years, and, you know, there's a little bit of the professor left in there, I suppose, but, you know, it clearly is Memento. So Memento is clearly a supernatural force, and the whole Nicodemus Crow, Gravedigger's Poppy is kind of what they use to, like, do some ceremonies of sorts to kind of summon it, and we really get into the weird eldritch stuff in this issue. So that's what's going on. Find out a little bit more of, you know, Memento's past and, like, how the professor was there, and it very is, like, pure horror, nightmarish imagery, and it's really damn good stuff. So that's going on. The Trek's there. She also mentions that she calls Batman Jack, because she clearly knows that, you know, the Jack she knew from many years ago is definitely Batman. And then she, like, Robin kind of confirmed it with her, and she roasted him about, like, this whole thing, like, how dare you put a child in danger, like, this stuff. Like, she's like, this kid deserved a way better life than this, than what you're putting him through. We also have those kids that Bruce had kind of started working with. He called them, like, the irregulars, to kind of search the city, looking for any clues as to where Damian's whereabouts may be. They end up finding kind of an underground kind of city, which, you know, they have a little reference to the No Man's Land storyline, and they're off investigating, and they go to come, and meanwhile, like I said, Batman and Trek are off doing their thing, and they do find Jason Blood, aka, like, Etrigan the Demon, which I think I talked about a while back, thinking that Etrigan, some sort of connections to that would be brought into the story, and of course, here comes Etrigan. Now, I do admit, the first time I read it, where he said Jason Blood, I did read that as kind of Jason Todd, because I saw the white streak in the hair. I'm like, Jason Todd, why would you do that? But then I was like, wait a minute, Sean, that makes no sense. So it seems that Jason Blood and Etrigan do have some sort of kind of, like, fear of sorts of this Memento type character, and Batman. And I also like, too, seeing Lautrec's reaction to kind of learning about, like, kind of the supernatural stuff with Jason Blood and all that. Like, it kind of freaks her out at first, but, you know, she's still been pretty interesting and kind of no nonsense, but, like, also showcasing her skills as a detective. So it's been pretty solid stuff, too. And she even talks about how she trusts Robin more than she trusts Batman. I like that aspect, but they're both, like, adamantly working, like, we got to save this kid's life. So Etrigan tells them the story, and the whole Nicodemus Crow thing and the cult and that. Basically, they did some stuff, and they summoned some sort of, like, eldritch horror. Like, you can see that right there in this, and, like, one of them kind of came back as that too. So, like, some really nightmarish stuff in general, because Memento is similar to, like, Etrigan, and that it's a demon. Now, I do wonder if Etrigan's going to come in and try to work together and help fight and kill Memento, or send him back to his, like, eldritch horror, like, hell. But we shall see. And of course, the kids involved, they do find they're investigating. They find Damian being attacked by Memento. He's doing his best to fight back. Then Memento sees the kids, and kind of, like, almost like the Thing of sorts, where it kind of grabs onto things, kind of manifests people, and it's like, oh, look at more children as my victims, and you see the creepy, nightmarish imagery kind of pop out at the end. So, good stuff. You really feel the stakes and tension in this thing. I always like, too, seeing Batman dabble into the supernatural, like, within his cases in some regards too. Like, a story like this, like, showcasing it, does it, like, very well. First, it starts out kind of grounded, and when every type of, I guess, scientific explanation can't be, like, showcased, like, you know, like, human sort of like angle with it. Then you dive into the supernatural. Like, what's Batman going to do? Okay, he's going to go right for Etrigan because it's all connecting, and, you know, sees Damian's notes and all that tied together, given like the speech patterns that Memento gave and how like Etrigan talked. It's like there's definitely some connections in that, like, in there too. So and then of course you got the nightmarish horrors, like these poor kids are about to become victims of this thing too. Like, this story's going into some pretty dark territory. Like, kids don't feel safe in this thing, and it's intense. It's exciting to read, like the whole Atticus Bly thing where like Memento is kind of wearing his flesh of sorts. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of his like humanity still in there, with the eldritch horror kind of lashing itself onto him, but you can definitely feel that Doom That Came to Gotham type influence with it in the story now. It's really coming to the forefront of this thing, and like I said, I think it's really good stuff, and I'm excited to see how they combat this Memento thing. I feel like Etrigan has to take form and just kind of slice this thing to pieces. Like, that's the only way to send it back to hell. Or maybe they have to get other forces, because like I said, I really feel the threat and stakes level with the supernatural angle with this type of story. And it's an interesting one that they kind of started out with. At first, you're kind of led to believe, oh, maybe it's just this hallucination like compound that Scarecrow's involved with or something like that. But no, this is full eldritch horror that we're diving into within the first story arc of this thing, and kind of putting Batman in there with his detective skills and all that, tying it back to his past, Damian's, and like the Thomas Wayne angle and all that too. It's all coming together really well, and it's some exciting stuff in general. So I also was just at the comic book store like today, like picking up my physical copy of this too, and just talking to some of the staff there, and they tended to agree with me too that like it's kind of interesting that like Batman Hush is the weakest of like the main Batman titles right now, and then this one is, you know, clearly just kind of like the best one without question, at least in my eyes. So really good stuff. Loving what Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing. I like the artwork too. Just a solid story, and I'm excited to see what they do next month, like I have been with every issue in this thing. And then, like I said, I'm glad PKJ took over this title, because like I said, I mean, if you read like some of the other stuff like War World and all that, like that's just like really good stuff, and I think he's pretty talented too. So yeah, loving this thing so far. Can't wait to see what happens next, and good stuff, so be sure to check it out. Anyways, that's all I have to say for this particular video. I'll have 2 more DC books reviews like coming out either today or tomorrow. I haven't gotten around to reading them yet, which is like the latest issue of DC versus Vampires World War V at issue 10, and then there's the latest issue of Absolute Batman, so which I'm excited to check that one out too. DC versus Vampires, it's gotten so off the wall, crazy, wacky that I'm just kind of like, let's just get to the end at this point. But I still have been enjoying it. So, but this is still like, you know, probably my favorite ongoing, like at DC, in terms of the main continuity, like stuff right now. This is just really good stuff. And I'm not just saying that because I am a fan of like, you know, Batman and Damian in a storyline. I legit think it is like that good. So if it wasn't that, I'd say it wasn't. So, but yeah, that's all I have to say. What did you think of the issue? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to your channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications, all that fun stuff. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.